Hi everyone, it's Casey Mraz here with Juris Digital, and today we're going to be talking about 21 practical law firm link building tactics. And if you hang on to the end, I'm also going to include some things that are not in this article that you might find helpful. This article was originally written a few years ago by Matt Green, and we've continued to update it. Obviously, not with every tactic that we use, but these are some that you can use right away to go ahead and start driving some links to your website. So to go ahead and get started, let's talk about the first method of link building in here, and that's directory link building. So we included some very simple links in here. All you literally have to do is click on these, and it's going to pull it up where you can get the link. First, we're starting with free lawyer profiles. You want to make sure you're in all of the major legal directories. Number one, because potential clients can find you there. Number two, because they typically allow you to enter your business name, address, and phone number, which is a local ranking signal, your NAP. And three, of course, you're going to get that link. When we're talking about how authoritative these links are, directory links, on the scale, they're going to end up towards the bottom. That's because every law firm and every website can go out there and get these with just a little bit of approval. That being said, they are pretty much the table stakes to get started, to send the signals to Google that your website is a law firm, because it's only natural that law firms would be listed on lawyer directories. So we've included some free ones here. You can also, of course, Google your practice area name and your location or the word directory, and then you're going to see exactly other opportunities that are available specific for your type of law firm. So scrolling down, we also have paid legal directories down here too. Lawyers.com, for example, ranks for a lot of keywords. It may not be worth it from a lead generation source, in my opinion. Same with Avvo and even Yelp, but that's a discussion for another day. Nolo.com, you can also get a link. They're typically a lead generation service where you're going to pay for those leads. The clients that I know that have used that, very few of them have had success, but some, of course, most of them have not. So that's just my take on it. If you've tried it and had a better experience, let me know. I'm definitely always interested. Super Lawyers isn't really a paid link, although you would want to pay for their premium listing after you win the award. What you want to do is check out Super Lawyers and figure out when their nomination period is. And you want to make sure that you can get some votes and submissions for that. Because if you get that link, it's very authoritative. And Super Lawyers actually ranks for a lot of best type queries. So if you're typing in best wrongful death lawyer, you might see Super Lawyers come up for your city. And so being listed there is a potential lead source. It's also a strong link. And it's tough to get. Not everybody can get it. You do have to go through that nomination process and make sure that you're selected. It's also a good segue to the next step, which would be after you have that and some other awards, you can potentially get a Wikipedia page for your firm as well. Next, I want to talk about relationship-based link building. So we've covered legal directories, which are low cost and relatively low impact links, but now let's dive into the ways attorneys can leverage their existing relationships to build links. First and foremost, you can ask your friends for links. Now, one thing you don't want to do when you're doing this is do a reciprocal relationship where say, hey, I'll give you a link if you give me a link. That's going to kind of defeat the purpose, and it's going to be unnatural. That's not a natural link profile. However, for example, let's say that you're a personal injury lawyer in Los Angeles and you're friends with a criminal defense lawyer in Los Angeles. You could perhaps contribute an article to his blog and then link back to your website. That's also kind of a guest post. There's other ways to do it if you have friends that run other types of businesses in the same city that you're in. Typically, when I'm focused on links, I'm looking at geography as an important metric and then also relevancy. So for law firms, that would be legal directories, of course, but also law-related sites. If you're in personal injury, maybe that's medical or auto-related, bikes, cars, things like that. So any websites that meet that criteria might be a good opportunity for a link. Don't really pay much attention to domain authority. I mean, on one hand, you don't want to go out and get a million of these. You want to keep your link velocity, which is the rate at which you get links, relatively low. But you also don't want to ignore a link just because it's a low domain authority, especially when it comes to city-based links, because there's not really many better signals than websites within your same city linking to your city to prove that you're a local business in that area. Next is doing something valuable for your law school. I've talked with lawyers that either contribute, maybe it's a guest speaker, or maybe they contribute kind of like their story, and then the alumni post that on their school website. In exchange for that, you would typically get a link back to your website. So that'd be an outreach thing based on the connections that you'd have. You'd want to go out and explore that. Next would be helping young lawyers and law students. That kind of goes into the same thing that I just mentioned, because that would be the opportunity to get listed easily on your university's website or law school's website just by talking about your story, giving them career advice, or maybe going to an event, hosting an event, and talking about those things. And if speaking of events, another way to do that is meetup groups. So you can always start a meetup group. You can go to meetup.com and find like-minded people and create a group. From just creating that group, you're going to get the link. But if you're hosting the events, you're obviously going to build your brand as well. And hosting events at your office will also make sure that you get that NAP, that local citation information, sending another signal for your website. Commenting on legal blogs. This is a thing that people don't do a lot anymore because it was overly spammed. However, you can do a lot of commenting on forums and things like that, which we'll talk about in a minute. But make sure to provide your input in an exchange. You're going to get a link out of that. Another major method, which a lot of people have concern with, is this I can't talk today. Charity link building. There we go. I'm just going to change the word there. So basically, Google says you can't buy links. And in some sense, that's semantics, because you're not really buying a link when you're getting a link from a charity, okay? If you're donating money and the natural response for that charity is to promote their sponsors, which it typically is, they're going to promote your business name, they're going to promote your brand, and they're going to add a link to your website. That falls in the natural realm for me. So it's definitely something that you can do to gain authority quickly. It's something that's expensive typically, because if you're doing a sponsorship, it's typically for a period of time, a year. And if that sponsorship costs $500 or $1,000 or $10,000 a year, you're really going to want to limit the budget there. But as a part of a natural link profile, I think it's something that's completely acceptable. And it's something that you can really point to these hard to earn pages as far as natural link building goes, like a city location page or a practice area page. So what that involves is, again, just basically finding a cause that you care about, donating your time or money, and then as a part of that, they usually have the stipulations as to what they're going to give you for that donation. In a lot of cases, they will link back to your website. Next is the scholarship contest in your firm's name. This is a tactic that I see as overused, but it's typically overused in the wrong way, and there's ways to get around that. So first of all, in my mind, the most relevant scholarship that you could have would be from a law school. So let's say that your law firm decides to offer a $1,000 scholarship to prospective law students entering a law school. You can create an essay contest, you can put those instructions and build out that page on your website. Once that page is on your website, you can reach out to law schools that link to external scholarships for their students. And from that, you're going to get the link. They're going to link back to your website, to your scholarship page, so students can find that and apply. So if you're keeping it in the law realm, that's a lot more relevant to me, other than sending it out to a million of these schools across the United States or the world. The biggest problem that people have with this is they get low quality links from scholarship link building. They incorrectly think that they're getting a link from an EDU website and that is somehow more valuable. But what I found is that on these pages, sometimes they have 10,000 scholarships or 1,000 scholarships or 100 scholarships. That's 100 outgoing links or 1,000, from that page. So if you can get listed on schools that have less of those, that is better. Also, don't ignore elementary schools, K-12, charter schools, because those are very untapped. Next, let's talk about content-based link building. Giving away your secrets on legal business blogs. I think that's a good one. There's so many great blogs composed of community attorneys sharing tips and stories, but you can share it on Lawyerist or Attorney at Work or Lawyer-nomics. Well, actually, yeah, now that they've purchased this, that no longer works. Lawfuel.com, for example. There's plenty of these websites, and giving people tips like what to do after a car accident, and laying that out on a place outside of your website is an opportunity to earn a link back to your website and maybe to a similar article that's a little bit more well-researched on your own website. So I've already touched on this a little bit, but answering legal questions on forums. There's plenty of forums out there where people are asking questions. Reddit is a big one, of course. And you can answer these questions, and you can get a link from that too. There's also all these old bulletin board type websites, and those are the ones where you're more likely to get a link from, and even a stronger link. But just make sure that whatever your response is, that it's thoughtful. I was talking about comment spam. People used to use basically software to just go through and auto post on all of these websites. And I said used to, but people still do that. So make sure whatever you're doing it with purpose and not to take a shortcut, because that'll hurt you in the long run. You can also do something weird. We talked about this lawyer in this article who made a video that includes quotes from the Bible, a flaming graveyard. And it was like a movie, a story. And what happened is the media picked it up and they started reporting on it. And then, of course, they're mentioning him. They're linking back to his website. We've done stuff like this for our clients as well, where we've created scholarship campaigns, for example, that have students admit to drunk driving for a criminal defense lawyer. And that created a lot of controversy. We pitched it to the media, the press release that we sent out to it, and then people picked it up, started talking about it. Some people were happy, some people were sad. It created that discussion, and that controversy created links. You can also use custom and quality images. Making images that you can use for yourself is a really strong link building program. It's stronger if you give it to people and put them on free stock photo sites, because when you do that, you set the stipulation as to what the usage rights are. And so you can say, you can use this photo for free, but if you do so, make sure to link back to my website. And there's people that really take that too far, and quite frankly, they're assholes about it. And that's not what my mindset is with this. There's a more holistic way to do it. And after it's been out there for a while, use Google reverse image search. Find people that have used your photos that haven't given you proper attribution, and kindly reach out to them and ask them for that link. It works. And, there's also a lot of research type keyword content that you can create on your website to earn links. So when people are writing stories, or journalists are writing stories, they're looking for sources to cite. So if you were to create a blog on your website even that was the 10 most dangerous intersections or roads in your city, back that up with crash data and evidence, cite those sources, people are going to start citing your article and talking about you. So those are just a few of the link building tactics that we use on an everyday basis. But link building is so much more than that. And there's so many more ways that you can take this. We've gotten some really creative links over the years just by doing things that people aren't doing. And really what it is it's just putting in the work. So I'll give you a quick creative example of one. I was working with a law firm that was interested in getting basically the highest quality links that they could possibly get from a permanent basis. And in this particular case, what we did is we found a website that met all of the criteria. It was local, it was law related, and had very few actually outgoing links. And that's because to do their sponsorship, you're talking about $50,000 or $70,000 a year or something like that, which is pretty outrageous. And I don't know that you would see that type of benefit from the website, as at least in terms of new clients generated from that source, which is another awesome metric, of course, if you're looking for a way to judge how powerful a link is, if it's bringing you new clients. And so what we did is we got in the middle. We knew of a case that was settling, and there were some leftover funds. And, we facilitated the relationship between the judge who was going to be dispersing that, deciding where that went, and the organization. And just by putting in that type of work, we're able to get something that most people will never be able to get. Also, you really have to think and look in your area. Local links, that's a whole nother ballgame. It's super easy to get local links from event link building. I talked a little bit about that earlier, but maybe I didn't talk about it practically. And practically what you would do is you basically type in your city name into Google. So for example, let's say Los Angeles, and then submit event. Boom. You're going to find places where you can add events to calendars in your city. So if you're hosting an event, it's just going to go in there. Okay. And most of those, some of them are manually approved. Some of them are automatic. So you're going to get links just by doing that type of thing. So any type of event you host, that's another one. And a big one that we do are community-based events, something I didn't talk about in this article, but that would be like a free cab ride program. So if I were just to type in free cab ride program. You're probably going to find a lot of attorneys doing that. So let's just look at these first two. Free cab ride from GJL. This one just expired. It was July 4th. Another one here from this Denver attorney, Mike Sawaya. And basically what you're doing is you're reimbursing people on holidays for their cab ride. You can set limits to this to really reduce the cost for your firm, but the PR coverage that you're going to get is going to be insane. It's going to be worth it. The number of links that you're going to get, it's going to be insane. It's going to be worth it. So those are a few tactics that we use every day here at Juris Digital. If you have any questions or have any more ideas, please feel free to put them in the comments below, and I will be sure to review those.